What's up, kings and queens? Welcome back to my channel. I am the Eva Monroe. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel today. I hope that you all are doing well, staying blessed, safe, and healthy in these trying times. So I have been so excited to do this video. I could not wait to dig into these questions for the queen. You guys brought the questions. I thought it was going to be a lot of questions like, what's your favorite fragrance? How many fragrances do you have? But no, y'all dug in. So I'm excited to answer some of these questions to get you guys more acquainted with the Eva Monroe. So let's jump right in. So first, let me answer some of the questions that were asked by multiple people. I'll start with those first. Now, the very first question that was asked by multiple people was this was asked on here, and this has also always been asked on other platforms. Is YouTube my only job? No. No. So actually, YouTube is not a job for me. YouTube is a hobby for me. It's not a job at all. It's something that you make so little money at doing. YouTube does not pay the bills. Let's be clear about that. So I work in finance, and my husband actually owns a heating and cooling company. So of course I am part of that as well. So no, YouTube is not my only job. The next question that was asked by many people was about my weight loss journey and how do I stay fit during quarantine, and how have I been keeping off my weight through being stuck in the house. So it has actually been very easy for me, especially during gardening season, because I spend a lot of my time actually working out in the yard. And if you're into that, if you about that life, you know that is very physical. It's very physical. I'm lugging bags of dirt and mulch and digging and moving and pushing my wheelbarrow and all that type of stuff around. And it's hot and I'm sweating. So I get a lot of exercise doing that. But as far as exercise goes, I have also dug out my vintage P90X DVDs. So that has been helping me as well. I have been really watching what I eat during this time because I'm not as active as I would typically be. But I snack on things like almonds. I love mixed nuts and pistachios. In the morning, I always have a yogurt, and I have another yogurt again in the evening time. But I drink like a gallon of water a day. That helps with many things, keeping the weight off, your skin, all that type of stuff, just water, water, water. But not eating out has really been a good thing. We're not huge fast food people, but typically like on a Friday or a Saturday night when I don't feel like cooking, I'm like, hey, let's dine out or let's have something brought in. So during COVID, I have not been doing that at all, just because I was too scared. The information was too conflicting for me. First they were like, you're fine, just wipe the containers down. Then they were like, leave the container on the porch, bring the food in the house. I don't have time for it. So we have been cooking and eating our own food. So there you go. That's how, staying busy, doing DVDs and lots of water, no junk. Now, the next question, this question was also asked by multiple people, and it is, what is my husband's favorite fragrance to smell on me? And someone asked, what is a fragrance that actually stops him dead in his tracks? You guys are going to be blown away by this. My husband is not into fragrances like that, and he really cannot differentiate between one fragrance and the next. Now, lately, there is a fragrance that he has complimented me on more than he has ever complimented me on any fragrance. And he even now recognizes this fragrance and he knows the name of it. And that is Miele, the honey fragrance by Keys. He loves that. He is obsessed with that. He just, every time he smells it, he's like, oh my God, you got that honey perfume on. You're wearing Miele. So otherwise, he doesn't care. He's not into it like that. I smell like something all the time. So now the next question comes from, oh no, this is another question asked by multiple viewers. Who are your favorite YouTube reviewers to watch? Who am I watching right now? So right now I have two people that I watch. I don't watch many fragrance reviews. I only watch fragrance reviews when there's something that I really want to know about a fragrance, or I just like to watch these two individuals in particular. I like Demi Rawlings. We share similar tastes in fragrances, and I really like her. I've always liked watching her. When she said she watched me, I was like blown away by that. I was like, what, girl, I'll be watching you too. And the second person is Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I freaking love him. He is pretty amazing to me. He is like the epitome of a well put together man, and I like a well put together man. It's hard for me to watch fragrance reviewers sitting up there with like a stretched out t-shirt, beard ain't been shaved in 3 weeks, hair ain't been lined up, talking about a Rouge Dove fragrance. I ain't buying it, because I feel like it's a complete package. I feel like if you're going to smell like a $400 fragrance, you need to look like a $400 fragrance. Doesn't necessarily mean that, you have to be wearing our money or anything like that, but you should put yourself together to present a fragrance to the Eva Monroe. So that's just how I feel about it. I don't watch a lot of reviews. Someone also asked me, actually multiple people asked me, who are my beauty influencers that I have watched through the years? Like, who have I learned things from? I don't really like zone in on one person. I like Alyssa Ashley. I like some of Jackie Ina's videos. We don't like the same kind of makeup, but I take different things from different people. And I typically watch skincare videos. I'm all about that home remedy type stuff, like what you whipping up in your kitchen, because I like to do that. Most of what goes on my skin is in my kitchen. So those are the people that I watch. Now, my next question comes from Loving Me Jan, and she says, do you have a limit of perfumes before you start selling? I don't have a limit of perfume, so to speak, but I have a limit of space. Right now, space is definitely my issue. So I believe in, things out. So I will go through my collection from time to time, and I see what I'm just absolutely not wearing and why am I not wearing it. I will try to revisit it. If I'm still not feeling it, then it goes in the to-go pile, and then I will do a fragrance sale. So not specifically just a number of fragrances, but I really only want to have things that I love. And that's with everything, but especially with fragrances. I only want to have things in my collection that I absolutely love. The next part of her question is, do you have a budget or do you purchase without limit? I definitely have a budget. I don't really put a number on it, but I try not to actually purchase more than one pricey fragrance every month. That just keeps me aware of what's going on. And if there's not anything that I really want, then I don't purchase. Like, I don't buy fragrances every month. That's why I don't do subscription services, because I don't spend money every month. I don't buy clothes every month. I don't buy fragrances, makeup, none of that. I buy those things when, like with fragrances, when there's something that I really want. I've spent some time thinking about it. Maybe I've sampled it or whatever. But cosmetics and things like that, now I buy those things as I need them. So yes, no budget, no budget, but I don't go crazy. Even though I know it looks like I do, I don't go crazy. Now, my next fragrance is my next fragrance. Okay, my next question is from Sandra Smith. And she asked me, if you are vacationing or a circumstance out of your control occurs, what interests would you miss doing the most? That's really easy. Gardening. Um, Typically this time of year, I would be like vacationing, I do my girls trips and all that type of stuff this time of year. But due to COVID-19, I'm stuck at home. But I have been away longer than anticipated. And the one thing that stresses me out that I can't get to or that I cannot do is my yard. I'm worrying about, oh my God, the weeds. Last year we went away on vacation and my son was staying here and he was responsible for watering, and I barely slept at night because I didn't know if he would do that every day like I do. So definitely gardening. Now, my next question is from, I believe you say her name, Iveen Kali, and she had a really good question. She asked me, what advice would you give your 26-year-old self? This is a whole video, but the number one, the biggest piece of advice I would give my 26-year-old self, because I've shared her with y'all before, would be to focus on self, to learn yourself, learn about yourself, learn to love yourself before you start focusing on other people. I would definitely say that. I think at that age, like I was already a mother, I was already a wife. So when those things occur early on in our life, when we're in our 20s, we spend all of our time reading motherhood books and how to have a successful marriage and a successful relationship. And we forget to learn about how to love us and how to care for us, how to take care of yourself, how to nurture yourself. Because I feel like when you learn all of those things first, you can read less motherhood books and less books about how to be a good wife because, when this is in control, the rest of it just flows naturally. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. I feel like most of us are taught that life's mission in the beginning is to get a husband and give him babies. And that's what, many of us are taught to focus on. But in my opinion, those are not the two most important things in life. And those are not even things that are mandatory for every woman. You may not be a mother. You may not desire to be a mother. You may not desire to be a wife. And that's okay. But just get good with you. Get good in here and in here. Everything else will just flow naturally. So good question, Iveen. Now, my next question is from Carmel Kiss UK, and she asked me if I could wear one fragrance for the next 12 months, what would it be? Now, a year or so ago, I would have said Amazing Grace. I would have chose that hands down. It's signature scent worthy. Work, play, date, sleep, whatever. You guys know how I feel about Grace. But now I would have to say Metalik because I love it so much. It would just be that fragrance that I would wear every single day. I'd be okay with it if it was the only fragrance I had. I don't know how long it would actually take me to get tired of it because it's very polarizing, but Metalik. Now I have two more questions. I just screenshot them because I didn't want to write them down wrong. So Joanna Perez, who is my sister friend, my friend girl, my friend in my head. We know each other, I feel. She asked me, how did you meet your husband and does he treat you like a queen? How did I meet him? So how I met him was that he actually serviced the air conditioner unit in my previous home. That was how we met. It was very strange. I've talked about it a little bit before. I'll have to talk on it really in depth at some point in time. I ran from him for like 7 years. Like, no. And he was always like, you're going to be my wife. You're going to be my wife. But I didn't want to be a wife, and I was doing other things and doing life and living and learning me and learning the things that my 26-year-old self should have learned. And so then finally he wore me down and I said yes. So that's how we met. Does he treat me like a queen? Not always. So he's a work in progress. Just keeping it real. No, not always. My husband is very old fashioned. I've spoke before about how he is quite a bit older than I am, but at the same time that he is quite a bit older than I am, he's very old fashioned in the sense of he believes that a man's responsibility is to bring home the bacon. And as long as the woman has everything that she wants, she can buy whatever she wants, she can do whatever she wants, she should be happy. And so he has never been forced until now, until me, to, treat a woman the way that she desires to be treated. Because I have to explain to him all the time, it's not about the money. It ain't about the money. So there's so much more involved. So I treat myself like a queen for the most part, Joanna, but we're working on him. So we just keeping it real today. Now, the second part of Joanna's question is, do you have a secret scent you don't want anyone to know about? I do not. I share it all with you guys. Everything I love, I tell you guys about it. So that used to be Amazing Grace. Back in the day when I was petty, people would ask me what was I wearing and I would just say, oh, I don't remember. But I share everything with you guys. And then she asked me, where did you buy the yellow dress? Oh, the yellow dress. It was from New York and Company, and it was actually Gabrielle Union 2017, I think. The very first year she released her line in New York and Company, or put her face on the line, I bought that dress. So Gabby Union. I love that dress. I love it. I will probably never part ways with that dress until the day I cannot get into it anymore. And we pray that doesn't happen. Now, the next question is, how do you make your fragrance last all day? This is from Tracy Thomas. She said, I feel like my fragrances don't last long on me. So I have a really in-depth video about this, Tracy. I'll have to try and find it and link it for you. Layering is always my saving grace. Layering and making sure that your skin is very well moisturized. I talked about how I slather myself down in shea butter at night. I use Eucerin in the day. I stay on top of my water, and I'm a greasy girl. And so I always feel like moisturized skin is what really makes your fragrance have good staying power. But aside from that, layering with different shower gels and scented lotions or fragrance oils. Y'all know how I feel about them oils, and applying your fragrances as well. So, now my next question, which was also a really good question, let me go back to it here, is from Letha, and I believe you say her last name Oliphant. So the first part of her question is, what aha moment helped define who you are at this moment in time? I would have to say my biggest aha moment in my life was getting divorced and moving to a brand new city, knowing few people, having little, having to start 100% over, doing something that I never in a million years thought I could do, being just almost having nothing, just having the people around me that I loved, my support system. I learned that the things that you have they're this important when it comes to making it and being successful in life. I learned that it is all about the team of people that you have around you and the get back up power that you have, like the will that you have to live and fight and know that trouble don't last always. Trouble is temporary. So that time of my life was my biggest aha moment. It completely changed me. It changed everything about me. It changed my selfishness. It changed the type of wife I wanted to be if and when I ever would get married again, which was what I thought back then. It changed the type of friend I was. It changed so many things about me. So that was definitely my biggest aha moment. And then she asked me, do you consider something about yourself a work in progress? If so, what are you working on? Yeah, I am 100% all around. I'm still a work in progress. I tell people this all the time. But the biggest thing in my life that is a work in progress, the main thing that I'm working on now is being married. And I told my friend, she was like, I'll be so glad when COVID-19 gets over and I can go out into the world. I said, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned new? What have you learned how to do that you never done before? What aha moments have you had? And she hadn't had any. And I said, well, you ain't ready. You need to stay in the house longer. You're not ready to come out. During COVID-19, I realized that I'm not good at being married. I realized that. We have had a relationship where it's been like 3 hours, in the evening. Hey, how you doing? Good. How was your day? My day was great. All right, here go your supper. I'm gonna be in my little corner. Now, if you need me, you holla. If you hurt yourself or something, just yell. But never forced to spend a great amount of time together, like to be in each other's space, in each other's face 24/7. Wow, when that happened, I was like, uh-oh. The ish is about to hit the fan. When we had such limited time together, my husband, he's very busy. I'm very busy. When we lived our lives like that, it worked in passing. Like we didn't have anything to argue about. But when we're forced to have a conversation and we're forced to be in each other's presence for an extended period of time, I have learned that we have so little in common. And I have learned that it takes patience to deal with him sometimes. And he has learned that, or is learning, we is learning that it takes patience to deal with me. So yeah, that's the biggest work in progress in my life right now. And y'all pray for us because it's difficult. It really is. But at the same time, before we got married, I mentioned this, I did not want to be married. I didn't. And so women, hear this. Just hear me out. Follow me here. I felt like that. I felt like I had worn that t-shirt. I raised kids. I was a wife, all of that type of stuff. I did sports and, the pickup, the soccer mom, the drop off, all of that type of stuff. I did that. And I didn't feel like in order for me to be great, I needed to do that again. I didn't feel like that. I was fine with being alone, but I did not feel like I wanted to be married. And I expressed that to my husband many times, and he's, with being as old fashioned as he is, he felt like he should take a wife at his age. I should take a wife. I should have a wife. And so I went with it. And it was 100% the wrong thing for me to do. So what I'm saying there is, if that's how you feel, stick to your guns, stick to the way you feel, because sometimes I feel like if we would have maintained just a dating relationship, things would have been cool between us. There was really never it wasn't a dire situation for us to come together in holy matrimony. It wasn't. But like I said, my thing is, and I told him this, I tell him this all the time. If it's with me or Shelly or whoever it is, I want him to be happy. That's my biggest thing with him. And I would hope that he would want the same thing from me. But more than I want him to be happy, my happiness and my growth and my change and my journey through life is so important to me. It is important. Ladies, if your happiness is not first and foremost, reevaluate your whole situation. So, you know, we'll work on it and we'll pray that things get better. And if things don't get better, then, you know, life goes on, and sometimes it doesn't always go on together. So and even though please don't take from this that I encourage divorce, because I do not. I feel like when I got divorced the first time, I said I would never do that again. If I ever had any regrets in my life, I think that was one of the biggest ones. I felt like I failed at marriage. I never wanted to get divorced. When I said I do, I said till death do us part, in sickness and in health. So divorce felt like a huge fail for me. It was an epic fail, and I did not like that feeling, nor do I want to have that feeling again. So I need to do a video, y'all, on May-December relationships, which is what my husband and I have, and the pros and cons of it. Believe it or not, people that know on social media that my husband is much older than I ask me questions about this all the time and seek advice. And I would love to share my advice with y'all. So that is what it is. Now, the last part to her question, or the next part to her question, is what are you the most proud of about your son? The thing that I am the most proud of about my son is that my son is living his truth. And I am proud of him for that. And people know, you guys have met my son, and my son is an African American gay male, and he is living his truth. And I am 100% proud of him for that, because I have never wanted him to have to hide behind who he was. Even though as a mother, you are afraid of your child being judged. You are afraid of how they will be treated in society, as if being a black male isn't enough. You know, you are afraid of those things. But at the end of the day, like I told him, this is your truth, you know, and I'm proud of him for living in that. As his mother, my son was a very, very small. And I always knew. That's the craziest thing about it. I always felt it. And when he was a little boy, I asked someone, I said, do you think that, you know, and they said, no, girl, he's too young. You know, he's too young. He gonna discover them girls, you know, he's gonna come out of that. And he didn't. But as his mother, I knew. So, you know, when it was confirmed, then like I told him, hey, I'm your mother. Like, what am I gonna disown you? Or, you know, I love you no matter what. As long as you are living your best life, as long as you are treating people with respect, you are carrying yourself in a respectful manner, you're my number one. You're my day one. So yeah. And she asked, what values am I most proud of instilling in him? And I think respect, you know, having respect for himself, and definitely having respect for other human beings, because he is a very respectful person. It's funny because whenever people have met him, or they have some type of dealing with him, or be it work or whatever, and then they meet me, that is the first thing that they say. He is such a respectful young man. You're welcome. Now, the last part of her question is, our kings are not valued. Our queen are their mothers. How do we as women play a role in shaping who they are? I think that's a hard one for me. And if I understand the question correctly, that's hard. I spoke about that in my video. You know, women, we can do so many things. You give us food, we can make a meal. You give us house, we can make a home. You give us, you know, we can make a baby. We can do so many things, but it's hard for us to raise a man. We just don't come equipped with the tools for that. Now, we instill good values in them, raise them to be the best that we can. But in my opinion, the most important thing is surrounding them with positive male figures because they need that. You know, I can't teach nobody how to stand up and pee, or I could not tell him what puberty was going to be like for him. I didn't know what it was like for his voice to change, for him to break out in acne, for him to start having sexual feelings and things like that. I read books, I gave him books, but there were some things that he needed to hear and see from a man. That is crucial. Single mothers, that is the hardest job ever. Ever. I had that job before. It's the hardest job ever. And you can't do it alone. You can't. It's so hard. I know some of you will debate this. A woman cannot raise a man. She needs the help of a strong man. I don't care if the male is African American, white, whatever nationality you are. If you're a single mother, you need some help. You need a team of people around you. So thank you guys so much for these questions. This video was so long. If you did not hear the answer to your question in this video, then go back to my community post where you asked the question and you will find all of the answers to the questions there. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Watch this video in 2 parts if you have to. Until I see you again, be blessed and bye for now.